Hello everyone and welcome back. 6.3 releases on the 28th. I've had a little bit of early access and I want to talk about that today. So you see, we do have a bunch of changes coming in for the Lizardmen in this video. It's not a rework, it's more of an update, but it fixes a lot of key issues that have plagued the Lizardmen not since Warhammer 3, but pretty much since Warhammer 2. So, we're going to talk about that. Some of the lords, the legendary lords, had slight minor updates when it comes to the minor effects and so on, but yeah, it's nothing too big. All the big changes are coming in when it comes to the campaign itself. I'm going to start off with something very easy here. Lord Mazdamundi starts off with Soul Quench, so he's a bit more killy at the very start of your campaign if you like to play as Big Mazda. I think that's a good change. A lot of people have been asking for that for some time now. It's a small one, but it gets bigger from here. When it comes to the building tab, a few things have been changed around, so you get a lot more Dreadsaurians now, because you can increase the capacity quite dramatically, I'd say now, alongside just some minor updates to the buildings, just making sure that everything gets up and running a little bit better. Lizardman economy is also a big thing here now, because you will be getting a little bit more income now through resource buildings. It's just small quality of life updates here just to make sure that everything is going to be a little bit less soul-sucking. I would say that the Lizardmen back then had some of the worst campaigns in the game, but all in all it's going to be feeling kind of similar but also kind of different. Nakai, by the way, can now have access to the Feral Cold Ones just like the normal Lizardmen factions can too, which, yeah, I mean, it's nice. At the end of the day, having access to all these units is always better, right? The bigger changes come in the technology tree, which was one of the worst factors of the Lizardmen back in the day. So you've got two separate trees now. You've got the Great Plan and the Old-Blooded one. The Great Plan is going to focus a little bit more on your administration side. There is a few things that can help you in battle, though. The main thing here is gone is the really awful pyramid system where you need buildings for everything. You still need some buildings for certain techs, but now you've actually got a little bit of freedom. You can start teching straight away for stuff that you actually do want. I like to go through some basic admin stuff to get myself some better growth at the very beginning and a little bit of control before I start moving off, because I like playing in harder difficulties, so that's always quite useful to have. This is such a dramatic change that it definitely overhauls how you play the Lizardmen. I know a lot of people were expecting the geomantic web changes. Creative Assembly did confirm that that was not going to be able to be done for this patch, but with the tech tree alone, like, never mind everything else in this video, with the tech tree system alone being changed up, the Lizardmen are a lot more enjoyable. You can start getting up to an on par with other factions relatively quickly and start fighting your way without too many issues. It just feels so much better. It's kind of weird just to say, you know, just the tech tree fixes that, but believe me, the tech tree really makes the campaign go from a F tier to around the C tier. It still needs a change. It still needs one more DLC, I would say, and obviously geomantic web changes, but already the factions, all of the factions, feel better. The techs that do require buildings can be quite powerful, like for example Sequence of Heroism, which increases wound recovery time, well, reduces it, reduces also the cooldown for all your spells for all armies by 10%, and then gives you the immune to psychology trait for all your characters. Then the other section, Cold-Blooded, which I called it Old-Blooded before, focuses around your troops, as you can imagine. So you've got Saurus, Beasts, Guardians, Skinks, and Cavalry. You can now focus, if you're playing as Tanwin, you can just focus on your Skinks. If you're playing as Krokgar, just build up and focus on the Saurus tree so you can get them cheaper and stronger, which, by the way, his faction's already really cheap anyway, because like you get all those upkeep reductions. It definitely gives that feel that you can specialize. Something that really is common in the tabletop, even with the old world right now, whilst them still being a legacy faction, people still do Saurus-only builds, Skink-only builds, monster-focused builds, and you can get that here too. I love that. It's great. It's a really nice change. It's kind of sad that we had to wait this long, but really during Warhammer 2, everyone that got attention was, Skaven, and then Skaven, and then everyone else. And Lizardmen was there at last, despite the fact that they got a decent amount of DLC. Until recently, Oxyotl was the only character that I would play, and now I do feel incentivized to play as all the other legendary lords. Alright, we're going to talk about spawning sequence now, because this is going to be a new resource for you, and it's going to be used throughout your campaign. You get this by commandments, missions, and rights, and you use it on recruitment to get your blessed units, which there are a bunch of new blessed units now. I think practically the whole roster for the Lizardmen now has a blessed version, which is really good. This means that you'll be able to recruit them in a similar way as to like mercenaries or the state troops, the special state troops of the Empire. They will automatically refill, and you can get an army of them over time. It does take a while. And you will need this resource to kind of buy those troops, but you can get it from rights. You can get it also from missions that will pop up in a fairly regular basis. I'm not too keen on some of the missions, but it's more of the case of like I just have to get used to it. And also you've got commandments there, which can either increase it as a natural percentage or just get some coming in over time. It definitely makes them more viable. They're troops that you'll see more often. You can keep them on the side as a no shit moment, or you can bring them in because remember that they do have better stats, some of them have better abilities and so on compared to the normal counterparts, and they will just generally be stronger. They'll definitely start off slow, but as your campaign starts progressing more and more, you will notice it a lot more. It's good to see like the mercenary system kind of making its way back in. They're not mercenaries, but you get what I mean. It's an older style mechanic from all the Total Wars. But it does mean that you can build up stronger forces. One problem that the Lizardmen do have is you're generally surrounded by enemies regardless of who you play. The only one that's actually generally safer is Nakai, because he gets to move around quite a bit and he hits like a fucking truck. But the others, Mazdamundi and so on, while still very good, you're surrounded and you will need those blessed units to kind of keep you going a little bit. Lustria is a lot more dangerous than Skulltaker came in, and I'm not gonna lie, I have a feeling there's gonna be at least 1 or 2 more lords in the future in Lustria. I don't know why, just call it a feeling. My only real concern with the blessed spawnings is this doesn't really have a lot of detail when it comes to just like replenishment and so on, and it does feel kind of slow in some cases. I guess like, you know, early on it feels like you're not really getting a lot from that. 5 turns goes around fairly quickly, but you don't get that information of, you know, could it pop up even faster, like say the Warband stuff or the Warriors of Chaos. Nakai the Wanderer has also had some changes to his tech tree. It's now T. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's just updated in a very similar vein to everyone else, but obviously he has to have something unique because he does have the sequences and all the other stuff when it comes to his own unique campaign gameplay. If you like Nakai, nothing's really changed. In fact, I'd say a lot hasn't really changed for the Lizardmen in that regard. Rather than sweeping changes, it's more just been updating stuff just to make things a little bit better. I do want to point out something that didn't get fixed but I feel should have is certain buildings like the Star Chamber. You know, they're tier 3 buildings, but they can only be accessible through your main settlements for each province, and it feels kind of awful to waste a slot on that. I mean, yeah, they've got some good bonuses. Yeah, you know, Lord rank faction-wide for the Stand Mage Priest, Hero Recruit rank faction-wide. I feel like that could have just been nerfed. Like, you know, have 1 recruit rank, and then maybe every 2 would have increased the slan, but having them being able to be built up in the minor settlements would have been a little bit better. That's just an opinion. I want to just be very blunt about that. It just, you are very much choco-blocked when it comes to buildings with the Lizardmen, and it doesn't feel like that has gotten better in that regard when it comes to campaigns. Alright, so we're going to talk about the Lizardmen now, and this is after a little bit of a campaign, 36 turns, and really, the Lizardmen haven't functionally changed, and that's not a bad thing. Like, you're still able to capture quite a bit. I did get a lot of movement coming out. I'm at war with a fair amount of factions, I think, at this point. Yeah, Quika and Drizo decided to declare war on me as I was pushing down to get rid of Forek, because I thought that that was going to be better to deal with now rather than later, and yeah, no, I mean, it's better. It's definitely better. I do feel like a few things could have been changed, like, for example, what I mentioned about the buildings, and also some Lord traits or Lord skill trees, which are kind of awful, but the tech tree itself does make the Lizardmen a lot more enjoyable, so I will heavily praise that. It's amazing what a tech tree can do for a campaign. I managed to get a few turns in, around 40 turns with Krokgar, with Mazdamundi, and with Tehenowin. Those are the ones that I kind of always avoided. Tic-Tac-Toe I generally avoid anyway because he still feels like he should have just been a legendary hero. But yeah, they've gone higher in the ranking. I feel still we need a proper rework. We need a big push for a geomantic web change, certain things with building, certain things with skills, and one final DLC just to really close them up. But when it came to this, a lot of the attention went onto the Tomb Kings, and it's very, very obvious, which I think makes sense. You can't get everything done for a faction which has kind of fallen behind really badly, like the Lizardmen in one go. You can, in some circumstance, like if they were by themselves, see what happened with Kislev a few patches back. But all things considered, I would say that the Lizardmen are much more playable now. In fact, I would actually just call them playable. I have always put Lizardmen very low in rankings. I feel like they're going to shoot up a little bit, and I feel like a lot of Lizardmen fans are going to have a lot of fun. Who knows what the future holds for them, but we do know that they have stated, Creative Assembly have stated, that they are looking towards potential changes to the geomantic web in the future. So, with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. Have a great day, guys. I will be live on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. Pop by, say hi if you want to see some patch 6.3 content, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.